Greetings, my saplings. Okay, so in today's video, we'll be discussing the Yeezy 500 Utility Black. To be more specific, like always in these How to Cop guides, we'll be discussing some release info for the shoes, how to cop them, and of course, like always, some resale predictions for those of you who are interested in reselling the shoe. So to kick it off with some release info, these shoes will be releasing on July 7th. That is this Saturday coming up, and yes, I will be live streaming the drop, guys, so turn on post notifications so you can join me in copying these, whether it be for reselling or for personal wear, but we'll get more into that a little later. Anyway, the retail for these shoes will be $200. Of course, you may be charged tax in your state, and I understand that Yeezy Supply may charge shipping. Some other sites may also charge shipping, but luckily Adidas does have free shipping, and I believe there's circa 60,000 pairs, somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll talk about resale later. Now let's jump into the how to cop portion of the video. So evidently Adidas already released these via their app instead of the Adidas Confirmed app. They did it on their regular Adidas app. I don't think we'll be seeing any more of that Adidas Confirmed app. It will all now be on the Adidas app. But now, coming Saturday, your best shot, your number one shot, of course, like always, will be adidas.com, especially because they have free shipping. Now, on adidas.com, it should be very, very easy to cop these. It's literally going to be a piece of cake, guys. And it's going to be a piece of cake because you're going to be able to use the multiple people jig. Now, I'm not going to explain the multiple people jig just because I don't want it to seem too redundant. A lot of my subscribers already know how to do this. So if you don't know what you're doing, feel free to watch this video right here. I'll leave an annotation at the end of the video. But what I did want to go over with you was a couple of errors that you may potentially encounter. Not just when you do the multiple people jig, but every single one of these errors you will also experience if you don't do the multiple people jig. So there's no correlation between using it and not using it. You still have a chance of getting these errors. So the first error we are going to be talking about is the error processing request page. So this error used to be very prominent, but it was kind of taken over by the security identified error that we'll talk about right after this. But on the Butter release, I actually got a couple of these, and I know a lot of you guys got this as well. This is very simple to get out of. All you have to do is open a new tab, and yes, you should only have one tab for the splash page on every single Chrome user. So when you open a new tab, then copy and paste the link from the splash page into that new tab, then X out the initial tab before hitting enter. Once you hit enter, give it 2 to 4 minutes. Within that time, it will go back to normal. And of course, you may have to do this multiple times. I think I had this around like 11 times within the 3 hours or so that I was waiting. So it definitely becomes a little tedious, but don't worry guys, it's super easy to get out of. The next error that we are going to be talking about, like I just mentioned, is the security error identified page. Now again guys, this has nothing to do with the multiple people jig. Again, here's another image where, as you can see, a person is getting it on their cell phone on long-term evolution. So you can't do the multiple people jig on your phone, so obviously that wasn't the cause here. Not only that, but they're not attached to their Wi-Fi, so it has nothing to do with their IP address, where if they were using the multiple people jig on other computers. If you want to hear me go more in depth to why I know it's not the multiple people jig that causes this error, check out this video right here, because the Yeezy 700 release was where these errors were most prominent. Anyway though, to get rid of this error, all you got to do is go to your history, click on view all history, then clear cookies and data, set it for the past 24 hours, and then refresh the splash page and it will go back to normal. The next error we'll be talking about is the processing payment loop, and this has been going on forever, and honestly, there is no absolute, like, 100% way to get out of this, but there are a couple of ways to prevent this from happening. Essentially, the processing payment loop is when you're about to check out, you've done everything, you've gotten through the splash, filled out your information, and you finally hit complete order, and it says processing payment, and it just keeps spinning, and it just keeps spinning. Anyways, this can happen at 3 possible times. The first time is if you have your incorrect name on your credit card. I know a lot of us may potentially borrow our wife's credit card, maybe our mom and dad's credit card, and for that reason, we may have our information for the address, and it will automatically put your name above the name on the card. You have to put the correct name on the card. If it's your mom's, you gotta put your mom's name. If it's your wife's name, you gotta put your wife's name. Another way it could happen is simply if Adidas sells out after you add it to your cart of that size. Now, occasionally they restock the sizes periodically throughout the release. You'll see some sizes sell out and then they come back. And if you're unlucky, that size may potentially sell out momentarily while you're checking out and you won't be able to process the payment. There's nothing you can do at this point other than to just try again, and with multiple Chrome users, you'll be able to. It'll be super easy. And the next time you'll get this is if you use the same card more than once. Now, here's the thing that's a little different here. I used the same credit card more than once and I actually had success. But when I have tried this in the past, I didn't have success. Now, my theory is that there's a time frame where you can't use the same credit card more than once. The reason I say this is because when I used the credit card for the second time, there was an hour gap or potentially even more than an hour in between. So I think that it's possible that if you wait an hour, you are able to use the same credit card. But if it's not an hour, I would not recommend using the same credit card. And they did unfortunately get rid of the PayPal option. Hopefully they put it back though. And the very last error I wanted to talk about was the CAPTCHA loop. This is essentially when you just keep on having to do the CAPTCHA over and over again. When you get this, there's nothing you can do really. This occasionally happens if you haven't noticed that you've gotten off the waiting room into the size selection page and it's been sitting there for 20-30 minutes. That's when you will mostly get this error. But the best thing to do to avoid it is obviously to pay attention to all your Chrome users. You can do this with a pro tip by pressing the F3 button on Mac to view everything at once, or to get the same view on Windows. Hold Windows, then hit the tab button simultaneously. Now, another thing that you can do is sign into your Google account on every single Chrome user. This does not mean sign into your Adidas account, but you do have to sign into your Google account. So you may see your little emblem for your email address when you go to google.com. This will allow you to avoid the CAPTCHA 90% of the time. Every once in a while you may get the CAPTCHA, but this way you will more than often avoid the CAPTCHA. So of course you won't get the error at this point. Anyway, those were all the errors that I wanted to encompass, that I just wanted to let you guys know about. So now moving on to Yeezy Supply, guys. Yeezy Supply is going to be extremely easy to get shoes off of. The reason being, Yeezy Supply charges $20 for shipping in comparison to Adidas charging nothing for shipping. So honestly, guys, I wouldn't recommend copying off of Yeezy Supply just because Adidas.com is going to be so easy to cop off of. But if you do plan on copying off of Yeezy Supply, you really shouldn't even have to rush. But if you are going for the more rare sizes, the only thing I could recommend to you is to use autofill. And another thing I wanted to recommend, if you want to buy multiple pairs from Yeezy Supply, which I also don't recommend because of that $20 shipping. But hey, if you do want to, it has been changed where you can have multiple pairs sent to the same address with different cards. Or you can even use PayPal with the same card attached. I know a lot of you guys were asking about that. Now, I'm assuming that Yeezy Supply will release these at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, as they had the set time for the Butters. However, there is no set time on the website as of me recording this video. If this changes, I'll let you know via my Twitter. And if you were wondering, Adidas.com should be 10 a.m. Eastern, not on the dot, but around that time, because they don't go live exactly at that time. But it should be around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Then for Europe, should be around 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Then for Canada, it should be 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Finally, Australia should be 5:30 a.m. on the 6th. Of course, you guys aren't all in Eastern Time zone, so just do a quick conversion. Now, regarding resale predictions, do I think these will sell out? Yes, I do think they will sell out mostly on Adidas.com, but in my opinion, I think these will actually sit on Yeezy Supply. Not the rare sizes, but the more common sizes. I think they'll sit on Yeezy Supply for a couple of hours perhaps, but I do still think you are going to be able to make profit. How is this possible? Well, it's only going to be sizes 4.5 and 14. These are very rare sizes with similar demand to, say, a 5 or a 6. But in comparison to these other sizes, they are very, very rare. Of course, you have to take into account not only demand, but also the supply. So if you plan on purchasing pairs to only resell, I recommend sticking to Adidas.com only, where you have free shipping, and sticking to 4.5 and size 14 only. I do think it's possible to make profit with the other pairs, but I don't think it's going to be a notable amount, so I wouldn't even waste your time. I wouldn't take the risk. Now, if your state doesn't have tax on shoes, feel free to also go for a size 5.5 and 6.5. But again, I still think the most profit will be via size 4.5 and a 14 for this specific shoe. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I've never been a fan of the 500. I love my V2s. I'm keeping a pair of the Butters for myself. I love the 700s, but I can't get behind the 500s. I'm not a fan of the silhouette. So all I'm going to be doing in that stream is going for a 4.5 and a 14. And perhaps I'll go for a personal pair. I'm not sure, maybe just for a shoe review for you guys. Anyway, though, I'll see you in the stream Saturday if you plan on trying to make a couple of bucks, or if you just want to get your personal pair, because shoes, guys, were meant to be worn. With that, though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, if you perhaps learned a thing or two. With that, though, I'm out of here.
You always tell me where you shouldn't be stepping. Using your shoe like a size 12 weapon. Get your foot off my foot,
Get your foot off my foot, yeah!
Now I can't run and I can't walk. You hit me so hard I don't want to talk. Get your foot off my foot,